From NFL quarterback to Hollywood to the mayor's office, and now behind the mic at KXEX, this is the Alan Autry Show. No retreat.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
What the hell's going on out here? Everybody grabbing out there. Nobody.
That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
So 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
Free at last! Free at last! Thanks almighty! We are free.
Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX. Call Alan now. 559-899-1550.
And welcome to Alan Autry No Retreat. So honored and humbled to have you with us today. And nothing like a war to mess up Free for All Friday, Jose. Dadgummit. Dadgum that Putin. That rootin' tootin' Vladimir Putin. Man, he is just gone wild. Dictator gone wild over there in Eastern Europe. Welcome, folks, as we try to have a free-for-all Friday. It's still free-for-all Friday to a certain degree. You want to, anything you have on your mind, you want to talk about, it's open landscape, but a war of this nature kind of cast a big pall over everything. And, rightfully it should. War is bad. It's war is hell. First of all, we don't have Kim with us today. Normally she's feeling a little under the weather. Stephen Cloud's with us usually on Free for All Fridays, but for the last 4 or 5 he hasn't. He's off doing a movie with Bruce Willis and Dolph Lundgren. Remember Dolph Lundgren from the I Will Break You fame with the Rocky. Which Rocky was that? Were you a Rocky fan, Jose? Those Rocky movies? I think you're too young for that.
I mean, I'll watch them if we're on.
Have you watched them? I think that was Rocky 65. I mean, I don't know how many sequels they've made. He's not going to stop making them. But anyway, he's over there having a good time. And so we're here. And I tell you, yes, I'm not going to say I'm eating my words in terms of what I thought Putin was going to do. I'm not too proud to say if I was way off. But if you listen to everything I said, I believe that one of his options he would go in and take a portion of the Ukraine and call it a buffer zone, if you will, against NATO, and then let the dust settle a little bit. In the next 10, 15 years, take the next bite. It seems like he may be going for more than that. It looks like his forces may go into Kiev, however you want to pronounce it. That is a risky move for him. I think he's too smart for that. I think he may cut a deal with Zelensky and let Zelensky stay in power. This is all from my gut. We're seeing some pushback now, public relation-wise, around the world, and he knew there were going to be these type of things happen. He may be evil, but he's not dumb. And same thing with Xi Jinping with this PP alliance that they have, Ping and Putin. And trust me, it's the most dangerous alliance in the history of the world. We'll talk about that later and on shows in the future here. Something we have to really, really watch. By we, I mean the free world, countries, but also us as individuals who really think freedom and liberty is something to be protected, and if need be, protected with a full measure of devotion, our lives, if need be. That's just me. They call me old school. But I don't think as this unfolds and these pictures come back, the old David and Goliath thing is there, the little country getting really pushed around and pummeled by the big country. That scenario is already starting to play out. And in this video age world, you have to know how to play that card. Putin thinks he knows it, but he doesn't. Whoever now can make the best movie to demonstrate, get the images out in a cohesive, coherent, stimulating, effective, emotional way is going to have the upper hand. It's going to be tougher for Putin because he's going back in history. He believes that the Ukrainian and Russians are one people, that he's afraid of the NATO alliance pushing someday into Russia and taking over Russia, which you have to admit is a valid fear if you're him. We're saying, oh, that will never happen. Well, you're not in Russia's shoes. Putin's not the only one that feels that way. People that are pragmatic in their thinking and fair in their thinking and feel that you could have a healthy relationship with the West that's in that the Russian government feel that way too, that the NATO could go wild and be ambitious and go into Russia. So you have to validate those concerns. But for this, I believe you're going to start seeing a de-escalation after the next couple of days. Again, I'll come in and say I was wrong if I am wrong on this. I just don't see the visual of tanks coming into the Capitol and you're hunting down Zelensky. I mean, you got to realize the Ukrainian people have done the Ukrainian country rather has done a wonderful job just by chance of creating some very charismatic people that have made a mark on the world stage, and that stands for something, that are patriots. In particular, the sports world. And I'm going to get back on this whole reaction of the United States and the European countries there, the NATO countries, which I think is an exercise in foolishness. There's nothing you can do about this unless you want to go in and go into the Ukraine and fight the Russians in Ukraine. It's not that. But I bring up this thing of the kind of the celebrity status of some of the Ukrainian people, in particular the athletes, because they have curried favor around the world. They're very likable people I'm about to mention. Those of you who are boxing fans may remember Vitaly Klitschko of the Klitschko brothers. Very likable individual. Reigned as heavyweight champion about 4 or 5 years. Respected all over the world. Ukrainian. Well, when he retired, he loved his country so much, and some people think he retired a little early. He didn't get knocked into submission like a lot of boxers do. He quit kind of at the top of his game to say, I have a greater calling, and that is to serve my country. So he became mayor. He ran for election of mayor of Kiev, the largest city, and became the mayor of Vitaly Klitschko. And just yesterday, he joined the military. He's going to fight. That follows his brother, Vladimir Klitschko, who held, after his brother Vitaly, the heavyweight title for about 11 years. Vladimir, at age 51, I believe, has joined the Ukrainian military. And then more recently in boxing, there's a fellow named Vasily Lomachenko. And if you're a boxing fan, you know that name very well. Some people think pound for pound, the best boxer in the world right now. Ukrainian, and he just fled the country to go to Greece. So you've got, and Zelensky, by the way, the president of the Ukraine, is a former comedian. And you may laugh at that until you think, well, we elected a former actor, Ronald Reagan, as governor of California and president of the United States, and wound up doing a pretty darn good job. You have Donald Trump, Celebrity Apprentice. You can go on, and it's not quite the leap you would think. Apparently, he's always been socially conscious and a patriot while he was doing this comedy. I haven't heard one of his routines. Have you, Jose? The Zelensky routine? I'm sure he's not writing too many jokes right now. In fact, he said that he's found out he's not marked as the enemy number one target of these Russian saboteurs who've infiltrated the country. He's number one. His family's number two, according to Zelensky. But a former comedian who got not just in Ukraine, but all over Europe, all over Russia, and perhaps European countries, I'm sure, got somewhat of a name for himself, bringing laughter and joy to people. So the Ukrainian people, what they're going through, have been humanized, if you will, to people, a large number of people. I can't put a percentage on it. I know who they are, who they were. I followed them, and it makes you feel for the situation a little bit more. Saying, man, Vladimir Klitschko. I mean, he was a great boxer, great interviews, a gentleman. Loved him as a boxer, as a person, and he's going through this. So he's got me already, behind him, and has my heart for what's going on over there. But then you have to have a sober look at this as well. As well, all these great people, Alan, do we go in to Ukraine and get into this war? Absolutely not. We cannot do that. Ukraine is, in the final analysis right now, in an honest analysis, if you will, is a very corrupt country. Is it more corrupt than Russia? I don't know, but we know they're corrupt. How do we know that? Well, the comedian Zelensky jailed one of his top opponents, who was speaking out publicly against him. Jailed him. He didn't disappear, which happens in Russia, and he wasn't poisoned like the critical voice that came from Navalny. Navalny over there in Russia was poisoned, almost died, recovered from that. Everybody, it's almost unanimous that the KGB, or the equivalent of the KGB there in Russia now, was behind that. So you have basically a dictatorship, authoritarian government, attacking another authoritarian government. Does that excuse it? No. You just can't operate like Putin's operating. This is old school 1920s, 30s, 40s, and before that, invasion. You just get up on the border and go in there, man. And I don't believe in the final analysis that that's going to work to his advantage. Now, in the long term on that, I'm talking about 20, 30, 40, 50 years. In the short term, I think he could give a rat's behind what the world thinks of him. Why? Because he's got the big brother. He's got Xi Jinping. And you do a little research, folks. And Laura Fisher, I want to thank you for, I read stuff you sent me last night, just fascinating. And this isn't just conjecture, not something made up or grabbed from some crazy website. This is real information. She just digs deep, goes into communiques in these foreign countries that all the other news outlets don't pick up. It was a legitimate news release from a country or an individual of renown who those words would mean something, but they don't get picked up. And there was an announcement, China did speak out on this through a voice. I forget the individual's name there. It doesn't really matter. But you can look it up if you want to spend enough time to do that. But came out and basically said, listen, we are not going to condemn Russia for this. We're not going to, this is their decision. We're not going to sanction them. We will oppose any sanctions. And by the way, our support for them in this operation, we expect to be reciprocated when we have to do what we have to do in Taiwan. Now that's chilling, but is it surprising? It's not really. This is no surprise if you have a little common sense. And as Fred Thompson, the great actor and great senator, once said, why do they call it common sense when it's so uncommon? I understand that now more than ever. But these folks met, Putin and Ping, before the Olympics for a long time, and they go way back. This is a bromance that's been going on for 10, 15, 20 years. They have each other over to their houses. They go on vacations together. Didn't know that? I didn't either. These folks are close, man. It's like Laurel and Hardy. They're together, man. They're a team, which really is frightening because that Putin now realizes he has covering his back the most powerful country right now in the world in terms of influence. You can say the United States has the number 1 military, Russians has the number 2 military, China's down there at number 3, or this little category. The United States outranks China, GDP, all of that. Say GDP, GDP. It doesn't matter. Influence around the world, China is kicking our butt. If you asked a country, who if Russia or United States or China wants you to do something, who are you going to listen to more? 99.9% of these countries, including our folks up in Canada, Justin Trudeau, we'll get to him in a little bit, are going to side with China because they own them. China has done a great job of going around buying off the world. It's the old mafia style. Out in New York, you have a mafioso come to a small business saying, hey, we're going to make sure that these thugs that come around and rob your business and scare your family, we're going to take care of them. You know, all you have to do, we're just going to be part of your business. Here's some money. You know, you need a little money to get started. Here's some money. We'll protect you. And the deal is, though, we're now partners, and you have to do what we say when we say to do it. Simple as that. That's the Chinese model, and Putin knows that. They saw the great disaster in Afghanistan. I think that was the final analysis, the final piece of behavior that Biden exhibited that made Ping and Putin feel very secure in doing what they're doing right now in the Ukraine. And I say they, not singular Putin, because they're together. This is a Putin-Ping invasion of the Ukraine. And we're going to take a quick break. We got Laura. We got Laura on the line. Going to get an update on Taiwan. This is going to be very, very interesting because it is the next domino. But I'm also going to talk about this big picture, this Russia-China relationship, and what it means for our children and grandchildren, why we as a free world and why have to get our act together. In particular, Europe has to get their act together. This is Alan Autry, No Retreat. We'll be right back.
Hey, have you seen that Biden already announced the nomination for Supreme?
Yes, what's it? Mrs. Jackson? Is that her last name?
Brown Jackson.
I thought he was going to go with the lady from South Carolina. But
5 hours ago.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to do a little research on her. I thought sure he was going to go because Clyburn, Senator Clyburn out of South Carolina, who really delivered South Carolina for Joe Biden during the election. The Supreme Court justice there in South Carolina, her name, I think it was Childs, I may be wrong, but folks were thinking that would be who he picked. It would be Clyburn's choice as a payback, but apparently that ain't going to happen. But we'll see. It's not for sure yet. She's still got to be confirmed. But there was bipartisan support for the South Carolina Supreme Court this potential nominee, which is probably why she got snubbed. The woke far left folks in his staff probably got to Biden. AOC said, no, not liberal enough. She believed that Supreme Court justice still believes that a mother's a mother, a father's a father, an aunt's an aunt, uncle's an uncles, and that math isn't racist. Boy, if you don't believe that, man, you're not even in the pool to be picked. But I'm starting to believe, the math, Biden may not, he may not be pushed into all this stuff that he's doing. I mean, I got to hold out the possibility that maybe he believes this stuff, that he believes in having open borders, that he believes that we should pack the court, should believe we should have critical race theory where white kids should be demonized as racist, for the born racist, stay racist the rest of their life, nothing they can do about it. Tearing down statues of Abraham Lincoln. Maybe he, have you ever thought about that, folks? I mean, it's always, Biden's being influenced and pushed to mollify the far left element of his party. But what if the possibility that he believes this stuff?
1 minute.
Just sit there. This little epiphany came to me. I'm gonna think about that because he's a different guy. Different guy. Amazing thought to think. But nobody's pushing him. This is the real Joe Biden. Johnny Carson used to say, if that's the case, wow. How many of you out there know who Johnny Carson is? We got quite a few folks that are close to my age. Somebody can remember. Some would probably remember Jack Parr.
All right, 10 seconds.
All right, 10 seconds. We're back on the radio, folks. Absolutely nothing. Say it again, Jose. Wow. Oh, man. We got to play that song because oh, gosh. Oh, Putin with, it's, it is just an old school invasion. You look at that and just shake your head. And I'm looking at our allies in the United States of America. Joe Biden, all these folks scrambling as if they can do something about this. Sometimes in life, folks, things happen, and you have to accept the reality, as uncomfortable, as distasteful, as horrible as it may be. You have to accept some things you cannot affect at the moment. You can't do anything about it. When a train crash or a car crash happens, after it's happened, there's nothing you can do about to stop it from happening. This has happened. And to think that you can do anything, the United States, NATO allies, anyone around the world in terms of stopping this invasion right now, it's like, it's like taking a squirt gun into your house on fire and you're going there with two squirt guns blazing. Number one, you're not going to put out the fire. Number two, you're probably going to get burned up with the house. Unless you're willing to go into Ukraine and meet the Russian forces head to head and start having an all-out hot war, there's nothing you can do. All of these sanctions that they're putting on folks, what are they going to do? Nothing. You're going to sanction Putin, the richest man in the world, thinking you're going to help him economically. Every sanction that NATO puts on place and the United States is only going to hurt NATO countries and some people in the other countries, the Russian Federation and such to a certain degree, but they're under a dictator. They're not going to uprise against anything. It's just going to hurt American people who are seeing gas go up $7 a gallon. It's not going to do one thing to stop what Putin is doing because China has his back. And these sanctions, by the way, sometimes take 1-2 years to put in place. And what'll happen, you'll sanction, American people will you just get pummeled. Price is going to go through the roof. All the hardship on top of all the COVID stuff. And any sanction that is put in place will slowly, over the course of time, just go away. Why? Because China will say they have to go away. And one by one, these so-called hard sanctions that you're hearing about. Ned Price today from the State Department saying Russia and Russian Federation are really feeling the sting of Biden's latest sanctions. It's a bunch of hogwash. Their sanctions mean nothing except hurt our own people. The best thing they can do right now, the United States and the European Union, and particularly the Big Eight in there, is convene a emergency meeting, and you analyze what went wrong. What did we do over the course of last 10, 15, 20, 25 years that made Putin feel that he could go do this, that Xi Jinping could partner with him and go do this? And then once you find that out, you take the measures to make sure, and the reforms and initiatives in place to make sure that it never happens again. And what's happened is clear. And I blame it on Europe, in particular Germany. Germany bought into this woke, far left, new green thing that you can just, the climate change thing, which may be absolutely real, but you can't go from fossil fuel to solar panels running tanks overnight. Geothermal wind is not going to fly an F-16 fighter plane or a Russian MiG. It's you're just not going to, and Russia and China knows that. They didn't make these stupid mistakes over the Angela Merkel. You know, I can understand one person chancellor coming to power over there in Germany, and otherwise really brilliant people. So goes Germany, so goes the German mark, so goes all of Europe. They were making great decisions for decades up to this point. Then they made a decision to shut down every nuclear power plant, the cleanest burning energy out there. Does nothing to the environment. Shut them all down. Got rid of all the coal plants. Then their economy goes into the toilet. Surprise, surprise. Because they can't ship things any place without the price going through the roof. So they cut a deal with Russia. Hey, we need some of your oil and your natural gas. And so now they're at the beck and call, at the mercy of the invading country. And Germany's sitting there with a thumb up a certain orifice of their body and not able to do anything. And the whole Europe did that. All this crazy stuff. Greece, the country of Greece thinking, you know, was historically a smart people, some of the greatest minds in the world, Aristotle, Socrates, Plato. I mean, smart people. Set the tone for the world, lifted the world's consciousness up to a higher level. And they somehow thought they could have a system, a socialized system where you could retire at 50. And have other people pay your pension for the rest of your life. And then when they went bankrupt, the country went bankrupt, well, let's go riot in the streets as if you can make more money up here, because their whole economy went all to heck because they bought into this whole socialism, which is just, you know, a kissing cousin to communism. Socialism is the tadpole, you know, communism is the frog. And it's all over Europe. They bought into this thing, and what? We did too. So here's where we are. And I just pray that they get together, because you can't do anything right now with these sanctions. It's bogus. You can't do anything. They're lying to the American people. Joe Biden, you're not going to get anything out of this. Putin's going to suddenly say, "Oh boy, they froze my bank account, so I'm going to pull out of Donetsk here, and I'm going to go into Kiev." And China's going to suddenly withdraw and criticize Russia. That's a fantasy land. Okay, let's go to Laura Fisher on. Laura, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I didn't get any sleep last night then.
so you're rip-roaring ready to go. Well, tell us about Taiwan. I read the stuff you sent me, and just fascinating. I replied, I don't know if you got it, but it's just as
I did.
It is as surprising and fascinating as it is unsettling and scary. Tell us what you got about Taiwan.
Okay, 8:47 a.m. As a matter of fact, I sent you this email, but I just felt it was really important. Taipei, Taiwan reported that the Taiwanese Air Force has done, in the last 24 hours, 19 scrambles with Chinese aircraft, warning them out of their airspace. And they said that the scrambles are increasing, that it's happening more, like almost every hour now. I just checked about an hour ago, and yeah, it's still going on. So I'm starting to wonder, are they going to do a 2-for-1 special?
Yeah, I hear you. It's there's no doubt that that this meeting that Ping and Putin had, I'm sorry, folks. I hate to do that. I don't have a cough button here. But you know that was discussed. And you know that Putin said, listen, I'm going in. Ping says, okay, you can see how we do it, or see how the world responds to it. Smart move on Xi Jinping's part. And then when you're ready to go on to Taiwan, we have your back. You'll know what to do, what not to do. And you get this thing done. That's number 2 on the list. There's just no doubt about it. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And you know what scares me? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Alan, I think this has been in the works since 2014. As you know, I have a mental problem, and I have to read this stuff all the time. After Crimea was taken, and we stepped into Ukraine, and we intervened in their governance, and Putin was absolutely outraged by that. I mean, that sent him over the edge, that we stepped in and we were helping them. Mm-hmm. At the same time that we were in Ukraine doing all of this, Xi Jinping ramped up Belt and Road so much. I mean, that 2014 was the most amount of money that they put out in 1 year, and the majority of it was focused on Eastern Bloc countries.
Smart move. He distracted.
Well,
exactly.
I think that this has all been orchestrated because after that, then we began to see Chinese disinformation, Russian misinformation falling into our social media, UK social media, France, Germany. Look at what has happened over the last 4 years.
Exactly.
Just in the last 4 years. Brexit.
While we're here, while we're in
that was involved in that and was against it said Russian misinformation and Chinese misinformation played a part in Brexit. Brexit was deliberate because the second the UK withdrew from the EU, it weakened the EU because they were the money and the muscle in there.
Mm-hmm. But could you
look what they did here?
Yeah.
They separated and divided us. Now, hear me out. I don't know if you've watched the documentary called In the Same Breath.
No.
It is by a former Chinese national who is an American citizen who was in Wuhan when the coronavirus broke out. Her theory, and I believe it wholeheartedly, the lab that is in question is in walking distance to the market that they blamed that COVID came from. Now, this market is huge. It's the size of a mall, okay? That's where everybody goes to eat. All the working people, they eat in these outdoor markets because it's fast street food and they can get back to their job. She believes that the Chinese intentionally infected employees of this Wuhan lab, let them go out and infect other people, that it was kept quiet, not for the purposes of, we don't want anybody to know there's anything wrong going in China. They wanted it to get out. They wanted it to get out because, let's face it, the Chinese have no problem eradicating their own people. This is, it's not even, it's a non-starter. Yeah, sure, we'll kill them. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, they're the country
and
that...
now look at the consequences that came from that, Alan. Every single country, every Western country is suffering from inflation. People are having mental problems. People are fighting amongst each other over mask mandates. Look what just happened with Boris Johnson. Look what happened in France. And then you have, on top of that, a chancellor who just got elected, who's never served in politics before in Germany. He got elected in December, and he gets handed this. You tell me this all isn't orchestrated?
Yeah, there's no doubt. The point is, what do we do about it? It becomes the so what, now what? The things that they have going, they're so far ahead of us. You have to understand the evil, brilliant mind of these two individuals that have joined together and created a two-headed monster. The
very first thing that we need to do, and our politicians need to do, they all need to get off the dam for one thing. Y'all need to get your behinds into Congress, and you need to put into effect the Defense Production Act, so we can start producing natural gas.
That's my
stop these states from banning it.
Yes, this is my point that I was trying to make. Europe has to be held accountable, in particular Germany. Okay. They have to start, and I hate to say this, but the truth will set you free, but first it'll make you miserable. You have two countries, China and Russia, that are on the most unprecedented commitment to the militarization, not only of this planet, but of space. Okay? Mm-hmm. That's where they're going. If Europe does not recognize that they can't rely on the United States military to come bail them out every time. That World War I, we did it. And World War II, we did it. They're going to have to stand up, and Germany's going to have to say, hey, 64,000 military, not enough. We're going to expand our military capabilities on land, sea, and air. And we're also going to be part of, people laughed when Trump said, created the Space Force. Jen Psaki actually laughed at that, the Space Force. Do you know what? Part of the deal that came out of that data, that little conference that Putin and Xi had before the invasion, was a deal for space. That's what Xi Jinping wants from Russia. That's what Russia has that Xi Jinping wants that they don't have. And they've let me finish this. Let me finish this one thing. If you'll require, everything happens for a reason. And about 7 months ago, Laura, I think about 7 months ago, Russia for some inexplicable reason, blew up a satellite in space. Through the least, they had the technology, and they blew this satellite up. And it was a story for about 3 days of why did they do that? And having the technology and the ability to go up there and from another craft, another spacecraft, to laser or whatever they used, were able to just destroy this old communication satellite. And the pushback was, hey, this stuff is going to fall out of the sky all over the world. Don't you care, Russia? First of all, we don't know how you did it. But number two, you did it, and now stuff's going to fall. Here's what I believe. I believe this was Putin showing Ping, let me show what we can do in space. Mm-hmm. You want to control space? I'm going to give you a little demonstration. On this particular day, we're going to blow this communication satellite out of its space orbit. And when he did that successfully, I think that's when Ping goes, I'm all in. Because that's one thing.
And do you want to know where he got the technology, Alan?
You tell me. Respond. Go ahead.
He got the technology from us. I live 35 minutes from Kennedy Space Center. I watch rocket launches from my front yard. Okay? I know a lot of people down there, and there was a gentleman by the name of Alan Carnes who warned the government, he warned everybody, do not end our shuttle program. Do not share anything with other nations. We are never, and he said it, we are never, ever going to be friends with Russia. We can get along for certain things. We can have common interest in certain things, but don't give them our technology.
Oh, man, that just drives me crazy.
Because they decided to end the shuttle program. And so instead, we sent our astronauts to Kazakhstan.
Exactly. And here we are trying to get to Mars.
And gave them control of the orbiting of the ISS.
Exactly.
Did you read the statement from the head of Roscosmos
While we're sending aircraft to Mars, we're focused on going to Mars. Russia and China are focused on controlling space in a military way. And I tell you, you get up there and you control space, and you're able to say, "Hey, we can put your communications out at any time. You control the world."
I'll tell you right now what they're focused on down there. And this is absolutely disgusting, and I've been disgusted since it began. They're more worried about Jeff Bezos' penis-shaped rocket and how many times he's going to take celebrities up into space. That's what they're worried about. That's their focus. Even Elon Musk is having arguments with them because Elon Musk is actually doing good work by sending those rockets up. He's actually helping our interstellar security.
Now, who do you say is pushing back on that? Let me ask this question: Who do you say was pushing back on the United States or China and Russia? You kind of lost me on that.
Okay.
Who's going against Musk and Bezos for doing that?
Oh no, it's that they treat.
Who's they? Who's they though? Who's they? United States. Okay. All right. It's all right. I just kind of lost you there.
Oh, my God. This infuriates me because
I can tell.
what they're doing is turn this into a celebrity tourist attraction.
Yeah.
And that's not what it is.
I hear you. I got you. I just want to know who you were talking about. And I agree with you 100%. We've lost our way in space. And if this is not a heads up of what can happen when you lose your way, you stop focusing on things that matter, and you're sitting there as a country, society, trying to figure out whether there's multiple genders or not, and gender neutral bathrooms, and whether math is racist or not, while two people with designs on taking over the world that have the ability to do so is moving eons ahead of us in the military aspect. They have, so if we don't, I hate saying this, but it is true. The truth will set you free, because I wish we didn't have to ramp up the military again. And the Space Force program, we're already behind in them. Like you said, you ended the shuttle program, and I took a big gulp when I heard that. I'm going, you don't want to get rid of the payload system being able to take things up there. And pretty soon it's going to... Go ahead.
It's not that we ended it, Alan. It's not just that we ended that shuttle program. We handed over very serious technology to Russia, and we handed them the keys to the ISS.
Yeah. How long do you think it's going to be before Russia tries to kick us out of the space station and put in China?
Oh my God!
And put China in with them in the space station.
Or he may just deorbit it and drop it on us.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know it's going to end, and the new partnership is not Russia and the United States in space. It's Russia and China. And if that doesn't send chills up your spine, then you're living on a different planet. You know.
Well, and if you listen to Putin's entire speech, that he laid out before this invasion, one of his goals in this is that we end up in a conflict with Russia. He wants to come after us. Yep. He wants to. He's made that clear.
All right. Well, we got to take a quick break, Laura. We're up against. We've already gone over the break, and I admire your passion as always, dear. Thank you for calling in, and get loaded for bear for next week, because unfortunately, I don't think this war is gonna have a quick ending. This is Alan Autry, No Retreat, 1550 KXEX. We'll be right back. When we come back, we'll go to the Justin Trudeau clip. Oh, man, I'm sorry, folks. It's coughing up a storm today.
Hey, imagine that you're a former comedian, actor, then you become a president of a country, and then it gets invaded.
And you're number one target. Yeah, make a joke out of that. But you know what? The guy's staying firm. He's not running out of out of Dodge. He's hanging in.
I seen the guy is like in the front line.
Zelensky is?
Yeah. Like, check.
I'll tell you, that's how you win world opinion on your side. That's how you get the sympathy of the world. They're not going to cut and run. Yeah, I think Putin's going to, he'll get there, he'll be there, but this could be the event that really wakes people up, wakes countries up, so-called free countries and NATO. Because Europe, I tell you, they're just a freeloading European Union in terms of the military. They spend nothing on their military.
You think the world has been becoming soft because it's been a while since a really big conflict that this new generation doesn't know, like world conflict as previous generations knew about it?
100%. 100%. They had no people are wide-eyed, these younger folks going, what? Countries actually do that? That's something I read about in the history books that my teacher told me would never happen again, especially if it was from a Marxist dictatorial from China, because China's the good guys. We're the bad guys, remember. We're the systemically racist country. We're the ones that's going to go and take over someplace. That's what the kids are being taught. Then they see this. They see China as an ally. Wait a minute, that's the same China that the American skater, who was an American-born citizen, decided she's going to pick China over the United States? That China? Why did she do that? No, wait, this doesn't make sense. China's great. China wouldn't support some barbaric like that, going in and killing innocent people to take over their country. China wouldn't do that. So it's going up against that's. Yes, it's a it's a like, big wake up call, or should be.
They have such a good food.
Yeah, that's about the. Well, that's the thing about when the Chinese Communist Party invades your country. After they invade you, 2 hours later they want to invade another country. Oh God.
Listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX. Call Alan now. 559-899-1550.
Oh, boy. All right, welcome back to Alan Autry, No Retreat. I said nothing like a or war to mess up free-for-all Fun Friday. I'm sitting there looking at the monitor here, watching the Dow go nuts, up 794 points right now, up to 800, just ticking right up. Man, there's a lot of companies that love war, that make money on war. Huh, Jose? Listeners, back to life. Sad, sad fact. But anyway, we're going to switch gears a little bit. This is connected because China, which is just as big a part of this invasion, Ukraine, as Russia, they're one of the same. He has a fan in these two countries, in particular. China has a big fan in Canada, Mr. Justin Trudeau, and people have said, Alan, oh, come on, he doesn't believe China. He doesn't look up to China and that oppressive government. It's Canada, for goodness sake. You've been listening to the Alex Jones conspiracy theories or something. Come on, this guy's a nice little puppy. Have you seen him, Alan? Have you seen him? Look at him. He's a cute he's cute. He's huggable. You just want to take him home and introduce him to mom. He's not some vicious Marxist, power drunk guy like Xi Jinping. Come on. He hates Xi Jinping. I had this guy tell me, I had an argument with, it wasn't Canadian. Obviously, he said, I follow this stuff. I follow this. He's not Xi Jinping. But we have a little cut of a town hall meeting with Mr. Justin Trudeau, and you give a listen, and in his own words, let him tell you how he thinks of China.
There's a level of admiration I actually have for China.
That's Trudeau talking.
Because their basic dictatorship is allowing them to actually turn their economy around on a dime and say, we need to go green as fast as we need to start, investing in solar. I mean, there is a flexibility that I know Stephen Harper must dream about, of having a dictatorship that he could do everything he wanted, that I find quite interesting.
Trudeau's rivals pounced on that.
Yeah. That's how people that get in power, when it really goes to their head and to their heart, it sounds good. It's thrilling to think that you can do anything you want to do whenever you want to do it. And then you get your chance. When some truckers decide to go to Ottawa and just say, hey, we just want our freedoms back, our liberties back, to, we're vaccinated and everything, but just want to be able to speak our piece and say that we just don't like a lot of these draconian, authoritarian shutdowns and things you're doing with our country. Then you get called Islamophobic. Whatever that has to do with the truckers, I don't know. But in Trudeau's mind, they're Islamophobic, they're homophobic, they're anti-Semitic. This man, out of his mouth, he tried to make a joke of it. And if you notice in the forum, they all laughed. They all laughed with him. Some of the most dangerous words that could come out of a leader's mouth, that they admire China and kind of dreams and has fantasies about having the power of Xi Jinping to be able to invade a country with impunity, like Russia, China. That sounds good, man. I like that. Folks, power is a very, very seductive thing, and it gets into the wrong hands and into the wrong minds. It is absolutely the most devastating thing that can happen to a country. And our neighbors to the north in Canada are finding that out right now. And I want to go to another clip because you think you've heard the most absurd thing in the world, and then you hear something like this from the Canadian Parliament aimed at the truckers. And the name of this parliamentarian, which is kind of hard to pronounce, so we just call her Parliament Lady. So this is Parliament Lady in China on social media. You can see her right now. Yar Sachs is her, I don't know. You can pronounce it yourself. But radio folks, look it up if you want to. But here's what she had to say about the truckers and how they're Nazis. All of them Nazis.
I, like many Canadians, were shocked to see Nazi flags, Confederate flags, dismayed and angry and hurt, horribly hurt. So how many Nazi flags does it take? How many donors from the Capitol riots, it's 1,100 and counting, who have donated to these illegal blockades? How many guns need to be seized? How much vitriol do we have to see of honk honk, which is an acronym for Hail Hitler, do we need to see by these protesters on social media?
We could stop there. Gosh. Did you know that honk honk meant Heil Hitler? All these years, I thought honk honk meant hey Bubba. Or go pack. But it actually means Heil Hitler.
I thought that's how gooses would do.
I did not know. Gosh, I'm ashamed of myself. I didn't know when I went by the trucker and I told my son Austin, hey, pull down, put your hand up and pull it down like you're doing a horn. The trucker, and he did, and the trucker would smile and honk, honk, and I didn't know he was saying Heil Hitler on there. I'm sorry. This woman got elected. Canada, you got some problems. Houston, we have a problem. Canada, you have a problem electing someone like this, bless her heart. But then, America, we got a problem. Look at some folks we've elected in this country, especially in some of those places, neighborhoods in New York. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, bless her heart. I mean, she's a great, probably fun person to hang out with and talk with. But my goodness, to have input on these dangerous times we're living in, goodness gracious, that honk, honk means Heil Hitler. Oh, man. So right now, out of my top 10 dumbest statements in politics in my lifetime, we'll go over them someday. But that made it into the top 10. I was making a list of them the other night. We're running out of time, or I would go through them right now because they're scintillating. They're just mesmerizing to go through. But honk honk means Heil Hitler went from nowhere to number 5 on my list. Now, I know it's hard to believe there may be 4 others that are more crazy and absurd and ridiculous than that lady's statement, but we'll go through them, one day on the show, and I'll let you be the judge. And we should have a top 10 on this show. Jose, let the folks pick their top 10 most stupid statements. Listen, folks, we got to lighten things up a little bit. My goodness, with everything going on, and our hearts and our thoughts and our prayers are with the folks in Ukraine. The families there, a lot of good folks out there, and also with the Russian soldiers who don't want to be there. My goodness, you got to go in or you get shot by your own military. I mean,